Running scary story. I'm going to start the story by saying that you should always be careful when running, even if it is in a popular place, or even if you have ran the trail a dozen times. It's always important to be aware of your surroundings. When I was in high school, I was an active runner. I would run every day after school, which allowed me to clear my head or just to get some clarity on things I had to decide. I had ran track on and off since middle school, so I could keep a good pace while running distance and even could run a pretty decent mile. This story takes place around the time I was a senior in high school, so there was a lot on my mind. Things like which college I was going to attend / or which colleges I could even get into, etc. Everything was changing pretty fast, and the amount of stress I had from school had finally gotten to me, so I had decided that I would go running in a park after school one day just to give myself some time to think. The park was a pretty popular place, it had some really great trails, and it helped it wasn't far off from my house, so I ran there pretty often. I always had felt safe while running in the park, as I saw lots of people I knew and often always saw someone on the trails. There were some undeveloped areas you could run for some good scenic views where you could sometimes see deer and other animals. When I had gotten to the park, there were people there, but it wasn't as busy as usual, which didn't bother me as I had a lot on my mind and needed some time to run and just think. I did all of the things I usually did, like stretch, and got ready to enter the woods. I put my headphones in, and the second I did, I blurred everything else out. I had started up my run with a nice light jog and passed some people and smiled like normal, until there was a man who greeted me with a smile that was extremely unsettling. If I had to describe it, I would say imaging someone is looking down and they smile with no teeth while bringing their eyes up like in the movie Smile. It was creepy, but I nodded and waved like I normally would. I tried not to pay too much attention to the man and kept running, as I was at a public park and it wasn't unusual to see people. I had maybe ran a few laps around the common park area and kept passing the man in the same area, which struck me as weird, as I had ran laps and not little ones either, like laps that took 5 to 8 minutes. Every time I would pass, I would politely nod and keep running. After a while, though, I started to think more and more about the situation. I began wondering why the man hadn't moved much from the original area I saw him in. At this point, I started seeing less and less people on the main trails, and it became later in the afternoon. The sun was covering in the clouds, and although it hadn't set, it was getting darker and gloomy, as if a storm were coming. It was late April, so it was hot and rainy pretty frequently, and I decided that I would run a little bit longer until